Okay. Alrighty. So we are here in the somatic inquiry practice, having just come out of a slightly political discussion of what's going on in the world. And so we are going to come in for a landing in our own bodies, in our own physical experience of being here right now. So being on the planet in your own body with all of the sensations and vibrations and experiential sensory data that's coming in. And let's try to stick with the sensory data. So instead of the story data, instead of the thinking, maybe coming into really feeling what it feels like. So I'm actually just going to start by rubbing my hands together, feeling my hands and feeling the heat between my hands, or we could say maybe the energy between hands. And then I'm going to take that down and just rub on my thighs. It's interesting, this hand rubbing on the thighs, I've seen people offset anxiety with rubbing their hands on their thighs. So maybe just slowing it down and feeling what it's like to have legs under your hands, like what the legs feel like to your hands, what your hands feel like to your legs, like really just coming into the physical sensation. I'm just going to go for a whole squish around of my body, right? Just coming into touch and receiving touch and feeling what that's like so that I can maximize. It's not the word I want. And I don't want to say anchor either, but so that I can really come into presence in physical sensation, presence in my body, presence in being a person inside this skin, right? Feeling what it feels like, the temperature. I'm going to keep squishing around, and don't squish with judgment like, oh, this feels like this or this feels like that. Squish with equanimity. Squish with like, just, what does it feel like to have an elbow? Or what does it feel like under my hand or being a little bit squished? Just a little gentle squeezing and landing in your cells and in your body. We land, we're born, we come onto this planet in our family system, in these bodies, and then we spend our whole life in these bodies, in this body mind experience that's going on. I'm going to get into my hair and do a little 10 little dragons running through the forest, just waking up the skin and hair follicles on top of my cranium, seeing if I can move that around a little bit so that there's some movement between my surface and the bone layer underneath, just waking that up. But we come in, and here we are going to have our experience within our body mind system for our whole life. So maybe just finding a place to honor that, or finding the sacredness of that, of this life force that we have, that we're present with, as long as we're on the planet in bodies, just feeling into that. And everything that you experience in your reality is coming in through the body mind, right? Maybe through your vision, through your ears, through your physical sensation. And how it affects you, you can shift the way that you take it in. It doesn't have to come in like a ton of bricks. It could also come in like, oh, things are happening. There's different pressures, there's different sensations, there's different emotions coming up. Sometimes we can think of emotion as being like an energy. Like there's a whole PIL song, Johnny Rotten's later project, where it's called Rise, and the words are, anger is an energy. Those are one of the words. So even if it's angry, if it's depressed, if it's the negative, whatever, bad emotions that we're trying to avoid, or feeling worried about stuff, It's all an energy. It's all moving through your system in an energetic way, right? We're participating with life around us, the things that are happening. And so we can fight with it, we can accept it, we can choose different ways of interacting with the actual energetic sensations in our bodies. So today, let's work with theta breath, the soft, gentle hiss with your breath, tongue behind your teeth. And let's invite in micro movements. So thinking of the micro movement, and it could be like little micro tensions, little micro stretches, little micro ripples and waves. Doesn't have to be a big thing, but thinking of that deep interior layer of the body, allowing this fluid micro movement squishing on an internal level, just to give yourself more space. Like, oh, there's a little bit of room. Maybe if I just wiggle around a little bit, I can have more internal space, more spaciousness. So letting the micro movement offer you access to space, access to space, access to movement, access to vitality, letting any blocked systems in your body start to clear. Like we're opening the sluice gates and letting the sludge run out until the water runs clear. And we'll use the theta breath with that. Inviting yourself to experience your body as movement, as breath, as energy, as vibration. So it's not an image from the outside or a concept from the outside, but it's these physical living patterning that's moving within us, and we're tuning into those rivers of energy within our own bodies, and we're even allowing them to express more, maybe giving them a nudge. If there's no movement, if you want to just lay there in stillness, that's completely fine too. Take it in whatever way you need to take it in, the experience of being. Allowing this like breath pattern and the micro movement to be like an internal body wash, right? It's allowing things to filter through your system. Maybe it's old holding patterns, old ideas about yourself, or maybe it is actual like lymphatic fluid clearing stuff out of an area. Maybe we're just unblocking on a really sort of physiological level. Maybe it's on an energetic level, but just inviting your system to recapitulate in a way that feels supportive and nourishing and nurturing, using the sound and the micro movement as a entrance into more ease. Having some awareness in your gut body, in your belly, and in your butt to see, like sometimes we hold a lot of tension in there, keeping it all together. Let it all fall apart for right now. Whatever you're trying to hold together, just let it fall apart. It's just for this little while that we're together. No need to show face or mask up or do anything like that. Just let it in any way that it needs to. Especially if you feel like you're holding things together for other people or holding it together for yourself until this thing happens. And then when that happens, then I can free it up. Just let it go now. Let it all pool, puddle, melt. letting go of the grip. Sometimes when I'm concentrating, dancing or something, doing ballet, I find like I have a death grip on the bar. The tension has shown up in some part of my body. Can I just let go of that a little bit, right? Sometimes our tension pattern, it needs to come out somewhere. So it shows up in our foot or in our butt or in our belly. Just allow it to release, soften, melt. And if you find yourself in a pattern of movement that keeps repeating, you can either keep repeating that pattern or you can veer off in another direction. If you feel like you know where you're going, see if you can go and explore something else. Shift the movement, the space that you're moving in, shift the size, shift the tempo. Maybe there's synesthesia and there's another element that you can shift the color. As soon as you notice you've locked into some kind of pattern or pathway, see if you can let that go. Looking for a novel pathway. And inviting within this exploration all of the parts of you in. All of the parts of you welcome. You don't need to give them all your attention, but they get a seat at the table. And you are going to not rip yourself apart. It's all allowed. There is permission and space for you to be here. I kind of want to work with vibration also. It's a little bit more sound oriented. So I think I'm just going to work with the just humming. And humming is a vasodilator, increases the nitric oxide in our little turbines in our nose, and then it goes into our blood, and it's an viral, antifungal, antibacterial. So it's really healthy for us. And also humming works with our vagus nerve and lets us downregulate into rest and digest, soothe and settle, which is pretty much what we're trying to do in these somatic inquiry practices, is come into that place where you can slow down and let your body process whatever needs to be processed in your tissue, in your psyche, in your subconscious, wherever the stuff is, inviting that in. So I'm going to hum. I'm going to let my tongue kind of undulate around in my mouth. And there may be overtones or maybe not. Just making sure to inhale back through my nose so that I get the benefits of that nitric oxide. And I just had this image of like swishing water around in my mouth. Like think of the swishing around, like a slow motion swishing of water to get that undulation. You don't actually have to swish your spit. Just imagine what it would be like if you were swishing really slow motion, and that will help the tongue get some movement. Taking resting breaths whenever you need them. Since we're sort of creating this vibration sound in our bodies, in our heads, in our bones, you want to allow your body to receive it and just feel the trace repercussions of it, or the sort of echoes of the sound in your tissue. Almost like we've just dropped a pebble into the lake and it's rippling out. So we're letting that sound vibration land in our tissue and also in our awareness, just feeling into it. I'm going to lay down and do this a little bit more, playing with the sound vibration. And then I'm also going to add music in a minute. So you can go back to theta anytime you want. You can roll around on the floor, do whatever you want. Let the music, let the sound really land in your body. Let the exploration come alive for you. And if you are feeling resistance, lean into that. That's okay too. Letting our gut body be expansive. Like sometimes in this sort of exploration, like I want to push down and out, like, "Ugh," and that can feel good. And that's fine. We aren't just relaxing until nothing's happening. We're allowing these flows of energy and movement to ride the wave through us. And so sometimes there could be pushing inside, or like pulling feelings, or squishing and squeezing. And then sometimes it's just relaxing and following movement. So allow whatever is happening, whatever your experience is, just trust it. That's what it is. And every one of us has a different journey. Inviting the sort of orchestra of your whole system, your body, mind, to tune itself and to play in harmony with itself. So you're not pulling the rug out from under yourself or sabotaging yourself. You're inviting yourself to be in coherence in this relationship with yourself in the moment. I'm going to add music. And I'm finding that laying down and doing the humming is really kind of challenging. It also feels good in a weird way, but adding some Jeff Gersh. This is Ambient Fields song number 2 from, oops, what happened there? From album number 2. Something interesting happened. Oh, it's song number 1. Imagine that as you hear the music, you are the music. There's no separation between the sound and you. Everything you experience is coming in through the vessel of your awareness. Is that a vessel? I don't know. Maybe it's more of an open thing. So just inviting it all in. receiving it and being it. Oh, and there goes my camera, which is maybe even a good thing. Allowing the water in your body to inform your movement. I just had this image of like a piece of driftwood floating in some water, and there's going to always be a little bit of movement, or maybe not always, but like let's say we're in the ocean or a river, and even like maybe not so much movement in a pond, but thinking of like the support and the floatiness of what that wood is experiencing in the water, and be like the wood in the water. Maybe your image is different, but like this gentle floating ease. We're going to spend our whole life in this body mind, right? In this lifetime. So if there's any extra ancestral stuff that you need to process, which for most of us there probably is, this is a great time to let that sort of unravel and release. Or it may be even trauma that happened in your own life, or maybe trouble, things that have happened that you might be holding on to and gripping, but maybe you can soften your grip and let them slip. slip away a little bit so you're not holding so tightly. Also giving yourself some space for dreaming beauty things, dreaming creative things, things that make you happy, loving things. Giving yourself space for wonder. And all this stuff that I'm talking about, like you could think about it happening, or you could just let your body move. Let your body do what it needs to do. And trust that, like, on the level of spirit, or the level of water, or the level of air, the level of space, everything's fine. And it's also much more intelligent than your thinking mind. So letting yourself not have to figure it out in your head, but letting your body move through it, move it through, or rest it through, or breathe it through without having to fix it or sort it out or solve it. While you're in your exploration, maybe you can find some much more subtle layers of awareness or being or vibration or sensation. And when you find those layers, just ask yourself if you can go deeper into that layer or relax more within that layer. Be more present with what is going on. Letting go of any sort of goals to succeed. Just being present in or letting go of the notches, right? Nothing to tick off, no boxes to tick, no lists. taking a few more minutes to process the processing. Either in stillness or in movement, whatever feels good to you. And then I'm just going to end the live stream.